Hi guys, Samantha from JSMO Tutorials here. Today I'm going to show you how to create a really easy way to create faux Lapis Lazuli. So what you're going to need is some translucent polymer clay, and I'm using Polymer today, but any translucent polymer clay should work. And all you're going to do is just chop that into pieces. And generally speaking, I will go with clay that has not been conditioned, because it just keeps the pieces nice and chunky and not sticking together all that much, and it gives me sharper edges. There we go. Then I want you to grab a plastic bag, and I do this because it just makes the whole process a lot cleaner. You don't have to do it, you can just mix this out on the tile if you want. By the way, I'm using a glazed ceramic tile. But I find that it's very messy, and this is just a really easy way to contain your mess. So I'm going to put it in there, and make sure it's a nice large bag so you've got lots of space to work with. And then I'm going to be using some blue alcohol ink. Now this might change a little bit in the oven. Generally blues will tend to go a little purple after baking, and the darker ones are the ones that generally will go for that. So I'm going to be using this one today rather than this one. And generally if you tilt the bottle, there we go, on this one here, can you see it? There's a slight purple tint at the bottom here. That's generally an easy way to tell whether or not it's going to go purple. This one we're going to have maybe a slight green tint, but it should stay pretty much purple. Then I'm also going to be mixing in some white and blue paint, but I will do that after I've done the alcohol ink. The alcohol ink is so that it will seep a little bit into the translucent clay and give us a deeper effect. And I'm just going to pop in a few drops. And then shake it around. And then if I need to, I'll put in a couple more drops. But you can see how that would be very messy if we weren't doing it in the bag. Okay, then the alcohol ink is dried just slightly. It's still a bit tacky, but I'm going to be putting in the white paint now so that it takes on a blue hue. I just want a little bit of white paint, and I'm going to also mix in a metallic blue, and this is just going to create the veins in our clay. There we go. And this time I'm going to create a big air bubble and close up. There we go. Create a nice big air bubble, close it at the top, and then shake. Then I'm going to bring over a separate tile from my main working one so that it doesn't make that one dirty. And I'll just take this out, and I'm going to dump that onto the tile. And so it is still a bit of a messy process, but you're going to have saved yourself a lot of mess by mixing that all up for the most part in a bag. Then just separate that out, and you can see that the paint has not covered everywhere, and that is something that I want. I just want you to spread that out and then leave that for a couple minutes just to allow the paint to dry. Okay, and so I've taken it off of the previous tile. It's mostly dry. There's still a few tacky bits, but I'm impatient, so I'm not going to wait for that to completely dry. The next thing that I want to do is I want to take some gold leaf. You can use any colour that you want, but I want to use gold. And I'm going to pop that on there. And that's just going to create some nice gold veins. And I think I'm going to use 3 because I want quite a bit of gold in there. And again, you can use any colour metal leaf, but since I'm kind of doing an imitation on Lapis Lazuli, I am going to be using gold because that's what you find in there. And just mix that around so that you have it dispersed quite nicely. And then I'm going to press that together. And just press that all together until you get it into one solid piece. Okay, and there we go. Then I've just got it roughly about the same length as what my cutter is going to be, because I want to try to avoid seams if I can help it. And then I'm just going to cut the first piece very thin, because that's the piece that I'm not going to be using because it's got this on the back. Next one I'm going to cut a little thicker than what I would want my earring to be. And I'll do the same for the next one. Okay, and then I'm going to save this for future projects. Okay, there we go. We've got the two of those. I'm going to bring over a piece of paper. Okay. And I'm just going to do these one at a time. I pop it down onto the piece of paper. Grab another piece. And I'm going to burnish it flat rather than using the roller. And this is going to make the pieces stick together even better. It's going to decrease the pattern evenly, and is just my preferred method. You can use the roller if you prefer. Nothing against that. I just prefer doing it this way. Okay. And here's how it should look. Now I've removed it from the piece of paper, and I'm just going to pop it onto a tile that I can put into the oven, and I'm going to burnish it down onto that tile just so that it won't stick in my cutter when I do go to cut it. Just make sure to burnish that down nicely, like so. Okay, and I want it to have a little bit of a domed surface, so I'm going to put some cling wrap over the top. If you don't want a dome, then just cut it straight as it is. And I'm going to be using this little rectangle cutter. There is a link to it in the description below if you are interested in it. But this is the piece that I'm going to be using. Just choosing a nice spot. And then I'm going to cut down evenly across the surface. Make sure that I'm not cutting through the cling wrap, because if you cut through the cling wrap too early, then your dome won't come out nice and even. Okay, and then I'm quite happy with how that dome is, so I'm going to remove the cling wrap before I accidentally puncture it, and I'm going to cut down the rest of the way so that I have a nice clean cut. There we go, and then repeat for your other earring. Okay, and there we go. Now, as for these leftover pieces, don't worry about these, we can use them in leftover tutorials. I don't want to try to force getting cutters out of this because it's not going to look as nice as these pieces and would look much better if I use them in a leftover technique. So if you want to see those leftover techniques, please do subscribe to the channel, as I post a lot of videos using leftovers and you won't want to miss them, as a lot of them come out quite cool. So I'm going to put these into the oven for a full hour at Primo's recommended temperature, and then once they're baked we can assemble the earrings. Okay, and here they are all finished up. So I have skipped a number of steps to bring you to the end of the video. Basically what I did once they came out of the oven was I give them a very quick sand, then I varnished them with some varathane gloss and drilled and assembled them, as you can see here. Now something I do want to quickly point out is that there was definitely a colour shift. It shifted more in the green-yellow direction rather than the purple direction, and this is because of the alcohol ink we chose. If the alcohol ink was darker blue, then it would have gone more towards the purple side. So I do want you to keep in mind this when you are working with this technique. And so yeah, that is basically the end of the tutorial. If you enjoyed it, please do let me know in the comments below. Remember, this technique, you can use it in a variety of different ways. Use different metal leaf, different paints, different alcohol inks. You can even tint the translucent if you want to. There's lots of ways that you can use this technique. But yeah, that's basically it. If you have questions, let me know, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.